Okay, very good afternoon, Akash. Can you please introduce yourself?
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Akash Nigam. I'm 21 years old. I was born in the Lakhimpur Kheri district of Uttar Pradesh. My early education was there only, and further I completed my graduation from University of Allahabad. And currently I'm pursuing my master's in politics and international studies at Jawaharlal Nehru University, and my hobby is playing guitar, and my interest is focusing on the geopolitics of the Indo-Pacific region.
Okay, good. Who all are
Yeah.
there in your family, Akash?
So there's my father, mother, and I have one elder brother and two elder sisters.
Okay. So what does your father do? What's his family business, or is he into any kind of service?
So we have a small business that my father does. It is like we have a tractor and trolley. So basically, we take brick from the brick field and deliver it to the homes, and whatever the rent we get is what income of my father is.
Okay, fine.
So
So, I can see in your profile that you've given few SSBs lately for CDS. I think so you paid for CDS and three SSBs you've given. Okay, right? Am I correct?
two I have given, one I have not.
Okay,
Last
one
one
you've
I
not.
yes.
So can you tell me uh, the two SSB you've given, what are the reasons you've not been selected?
So I can think of two reasons. First was that, sir, that exam was not my primary thing which I wanted to go for. That was, sir, after college was the first hand opportunity to get the feeling of an exam, and I gave it in that sense. However, I cleared the written exam, and there was also a motive to experience the SSB process. So, sir, I feel I could not give a lot of time to it, but because so I was basically preparing for the civil service
Hmm.
examination. Primary was this exam, so
Aren't
I could.
you interested in defense? Because I also see that you have in your graduation studied defense and strategic studies.
So defense, of course, sir, is a very prestigious service, and so in the part of my interest, sir, my inclination was more towards the civil services
Mhm.
examination. However, sir, defense, I did take interest in the historical and other aspects of defense of India.
Okay, okay. So, India is replacing, I'll talk about defense. Now, there is 5.56 mm rifle, which is in SAS, which is, usually used in defense in India, which is now being in the process of being replaced by another rifle. Are you aware about it?
So I have read it, but I'm not right now able to recall.
So
Sorry,
it
sir.
is the joint production of India, Russia, if you are aware.
Yes, sir. As far as I can recollect, it was there was a Kalashnikov rifle which
Mhm.
was jointly
Okay.
developed by India and Russia,
So
and that
Kalashnikov, there is 7.62 mm as well, which is AK-47, but 5.56 AK-203. So
203. Yes.
with this, I'll come to defense indigenization. India has lately taken some measures in the field of defense indigenization. There is a huge need. We have huge import bills with respect to defense imports, which we are doing. And also, given the fact that we are in a region where China is significantly developing its own weapon systems. So,
So
can you tell me what is the progress in last few years in terms of defense indigenization?
so So, in terms of defense indigenization, India has taken several measures. So, earlier we had almost 70 to 80% import bill. 70 to 80% weaponry was imported from the foreign, Russia and France. These were prominent players. However, recently, sir, with the initiative Atmanirbharta in every sector, defense sector has also initiated these reforms. For instance, DRDO, HAL, these organizations have been empowered to create not only for India but also, sir, exporting our weaponry. And so our defense exports have increased from 2,000 crore a decade ago approximately to recently 21,000 crores. So that is, sir, another thing. And apart from this, we have also created a diverse thing with in the international relations also, with Armenia, with Vietnam, Philippines. These countries have purchased, for instance, the BrahMos missile system and others. So even the US is the most important, biggest exporter of India's in terms of defense exports. Sir.
Can
So,
you tell me some of the joint ventures which India has, both in public sector as well as in private sector?
so joint ventures with international players I could think of. So one is
Yeah.
the Moscow, which was Moscow and this Brahmaputra River, this BrahMos missile, which was created. And then so there were talks of the General Motor providing us with the jet engine technology for our fifth generation fighter pilot.
What is the name of the jet engines?
So, sorry, sir, I would have to look on this.
No, no problem. Any other anything you can think of private sector significantly, doing joint ventures with the US companies? There are many right now. Are you aware of any? In fact, lately a plane has also been, you know, cargo planes.
So
The
there
headway has been
were
made. Yeah. Hmm.
So I had read about it, but precisely, sir, I would have to read again on this, sir.
Okay, no problem. Can you
Yes.
tell me in international relations, what do you mean by strategic autonomy?
So strategic autonomy is a term which is used by analysts to define that what a country's foreign policy is, basically in terms of whether it is a part of a bloc or not, whether its foreign policy is driven by its own national interest, or rather they are influenced by other countries' foreign policy. For example, say India has been, since its inception, the cornerstone is the strategic autonomy. We had earlier non-alignment, now we have multi-alignment. So
Okay.
that is, yes, sir.
So, can you tell me, with respect to the relationship with balance, how India has maintained its strategic autonomy, ensuring balancing act with the West as well as its relation with Russia?
So our approach has been to balance the relationship between the East and the West. India has been part of RIC, which is Russia, India, and China. At the same time, we are also part of the Japan, Australia, and India. We have been part of the Quad as well as the BRICS. So, sir, our our stance is that whatever benefits us, whatever is in our national interest, we are going to follow that, and we will not have historical baggage, as our Honorable External Affairs Minister has remarked, sir. So this is how India balances that by engaging with both players and focusing on our national interest.
Okay. I see you like analyzing, participating in dialogues vis-a-vis geopolitics of Indo-Pacific specifically.
Yes.
So, in that regard, can you tell me how effective has been Quad uh, in ensuring Indo-Pacific security or security in the Indo-Pacific region as of now?
So, with the revival of Quad in 2017 and Trump's presidency renaming of the US Pacific Command to the Indo Pacific Command, so Quad has been the cornerstone of countering China, and India, Australia, Japan, and US being part of it, sir. It creates a front, a united front against China. However, sir, I would also agree on the fact that Quad is not solely focusing on the securitarian angle in the Indo-Pacific region. There are also environmental, technological, health diplomacy, etc. things are also present. But I do see that, sir, there have been Quad achievements. For instance, sir, the combined exercise, there are Malabar exercise, then there are other India engages with Japan. So we have multiple convergences. And if Quad countries like US, Australia, and Japan want Asia to be a multipolar, so India is a natural ally. And while USA also has interest because it want to counter the revisionist China, which Donald Trump had said that it is a national security threat to United States.
Okay. So let's remain in Indo-Pacific and talk about Maldives.
Yes.
And after quite 6 7 months of this last year, rather 2024, had been rough. And but
Yes.
after India Maldives bilateral meet which happened in New Delhi, relationship fairly settled after that. So
So,
can you tell me the geostrategic importance of Maldives for India?
so Maldives is very much significant in terms of its position. It lies in a strategic geography, Indian Ocean region. First is the sea lanes of communication which pass through Maldives, and there is also a lot of international trade, almost 90% of India, as well as 70% of the energy trade of the China happens through the Indian Ocean region. So Maldives becomes an important country in that regard. So for Indian interests as well, and also, sir, it has its own implication on the geostrategic location which it has acquired. So India calls that it could be said as the permanent water carrier in the Indian Ocean region and aircraft carriers. Sorry, sir. And
Hmm.
sir, apart from that, sir, India also have multiple engagements with Maldives. If we see, sir, in terms of economy, in terms of its strategic foresight, we are always supportive with first is the Sagar policy, second is the neighborhood first policy, and others. India tries to comprehensively engage with Maldives so that we because, sir, of lately and also historically there has been involvement of China, and China wants to get support involved in the Maldives, but India has to navigate this carefully, sir. So Maldives has in this regard importance.
Good. So you talked about China, and ever since the BRICS summit of Kazan this 2024 in October, India and China resumed bilateral dialogues through firstly the both the finance ministers met in in G20 summit in November, and special representatives meet happened India China in December. Are you able to hear me? Am I audible, Akash?
Sorry, sir. I think there's a network.
Okay,
Sir,
so
I think there is a network problem.
are you able to hear me now?
Sir, now I'm able to.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
so
Right now
okay, so I'll ask the question again. So you talked about
yes,
China as well, and October, India. So in the BRICS summit in Kazan in Russia in October, India and China agreed to resume
yes, sir.
dialogue with respect to especially disengagement and de-escalation at LAC. But other than that, also there was a meeting of foreign ministers in G20 summit in November, as well as special
Yes,
representatives meet of both the countries in December. So can you tell me,
sir.
with respect to India-China relationship, in special regard to LAC, what are three Ds between both the countries? Three Ds.
So one was de-induction, second was de-escalation, and third was, if I'm right, sir, demilitarization. But that is a further step which was talked of
Hmm.
between
So
these
which was the first one you
two
said?
partners. And
Can you repeat what was
so
the first one you said?
de-induction,
And the second one you said?
so de-induction, so de-escalation,
Okay.
and
So
third was
de-induction and demilitarization is basically the same thing. Okay. The first one is
yes, sir.
disengagement. Second one is de-escalation, and third
Yes,
one
sir.
is de-induction. So can you tell me what is the meaning of all these three?
Yes. So So, to my knowledge, disengagement is basically the border issue which we had since Galvan crash in 2020. So we need to just bifurcate that thing, and uh, there have been dialogues since. But so this was the event through which we are going to take away our forces in terms of, like, sir, conflict uh, in conflict engagement which we still had. Now that is going to reduce. So that could be one disengagement. So de-induction is the next process would be demilitarization, that is reducing
Mhm.
the armed forces from the borders. And yes.
Okay.
De-escalation is
So tell
not
me, can you tell me
escalating the conflict.
what is the difference between line of actual control and McMohan line?
Sir, both are lines bordering India and China, uh, which lie. But the difference, as far as sir I can recollect, is that uh, McMohan line was so both are not clearly defined in terms of both China and India have different interpretation. So it was drawn on the paper, and the pen which was used, it was 90 kilometers wide when we the scaling when we do on the ground. So sir, this created the difference of opinion, but sir, I think I would have to read on the precise difference if there is any.
Okay, okay. So year 2021, India
Yes,
and Russia in a bilateral summit agreed to increase their bilateral trade to $30 billion by 2025. In that year, which is fiscal year 21-22, the bilateral trade was nearly around $8 billion.
yes,
So, fiscal year 24, the bilateral trade has exceeded the target of for 2025 by more than double. It was
yes.
$65 billion. Can you tell me the reason?
So the reason is because of the Russia-Ukraine war, and the crude oil price were rising, and India, sir, uh, followed a approach which was helping our national interest, and we imported the crude oil from Russia. So basically, sir, this soaring of the bilateral trade is because of the crude oil imports from the Russia, sir.
Okay. How
Yes.
can, how India has ensured that with the import of Russian crude, India, it would be good it would be in India's interests only in longer run to have a oil trade with Russia. Why you can say this step is a significant step if we look the oil diplomacy globally? Why it can you just think over it?
Sir, can you please repeat? I did not get the question,
Okay,
sir, tightly.
okay. So why India's oil trade with Russia is
Yes.
good for India in longer run?
Sir, up until the prices of the crude oil in the international market are soaring up, it is sir, in India's interest to import the crude oil with Russia. This is one part of it. So, secondly, apart from crude oil, also, we have created a mechanism known as rupee ruble trade. That was with the mechanism of nostro vostro account. So that would be helpful because India's dependence on the dollar would also decline. And secondly, sir, if we engage with Russia, there will be another economic opportunities in Russia, which will be helpful for our exporters in the international market. So this is the
So
another event.
can
Yes,
you think, geographically also, we will diversify our oil supplies, imports? Because before that, we were significantly dependent on Middle East. And if there's any issue in
yes.
the Middle East, there would be threat on India's, um, you know,
Energy
you can,
security.
energy security. Absolutely. So it basically diversifies our energy imports as well.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So, uh, you belong. So, one very interesting thing. So, you love international relations. You take interest in it. You're doing
Yes.
masters in it. You've done bachelors also, be it defense and strategic studies and political sciences. Why have you not opted for foreign service as your first preference?
So, foreign service, I feel it is a very interesting and diplomatic job. And I think, sir, uh, my interest in international affairs is for that, sir, international affairs and the foreign policy influence profoundly the domestic setup, at least in the contemporary era, more so. And so, for why I did not kept IFS at first, but rather at the third, because sir, I my inclination was more towards working at the grassroots in the districts. and in India by living in India. So this was my first thing. And so secondly, also, sir, I'm not a single child, so I cannot also take my parents with me if I'm foreign posted. So that is another point of consideration for me. That's just a personal reason. And
Okay,
these were the two.
right. You
Yes.
belong from Lakhimpur Khedi district, right? And
Yes.
often it is in news with respect to farm issues or farmers' protests in past as well.
Yes.
Currently, farm protests are going on in Punjab and Haryana and some parts of Western Uttar Pradesh as well.
Yes.
Can you tell me, the major demand is that MSP should be legalized. What
Yes.
is your viewpoint? Should MSP be legalized or not?
So, first step should be rationalizing the MSP. We have not included majorly the veggies and the horticultural crops. So that is the one thing we can do. But with regard to legalization, sir, I think we should not legalize it because, sir, first reason is that, sir, it is a subsidy and which is meant for compensating the farmers and not exactly legalizing it. And secondly, sir, the Shanta Kumar committee also recommended that only 6% farmers get the benefit of MSP, and that too only in the wheat and rice, these monocrops, which are also not sustainable, sir.
But yourself have said that only 6% farmers get the benefit of MSP. If it is
Yes.
legalized, it will be all the farmers who grow the crops listed under the 24 or 23 crops which are listed under MSP, all will now, can legally sell at that price. So that would mean that the 6% ratio would significantly increase and help farmers ensure that their incomes double in moving forward. So don't you think it's contradicting what you're saying?
Sir, that could be one thing, but that a 6% number might increase. But there could also be some other thing. What if, sir, only the wheat, rice, which are prominent crop, even if we rationalize, sir, the farmers which are major farmers, they only get benefit. So there is no evidence of this whether 6% would increase. Sir, apart from this, there are also other considerations. One is the macroeconomic framework. We need also stability on that front. Apart from this, sir, at WTO also in the amber box subsidy, it is against that also if India legalizes the MSP. So these things I can think of it.
Okay. So you come from you have a very close-knit family you talked about. Can you tell me one major learning you've learned from your father and one from your mother?
So the learning which my father gave me or I observed, sir, was that we should be consistently work towards our goal. We should not get demotivated or demoralized even if we face adversity. So that is, in one word, we can say perseverance. That even
Mhm.
if we face major challenges, we should continue on that path. From my mother, sir, I have learned that how to emotional intelligence on that part, I would say, sir, to understand others emotions so that we can connect also with them and get better nuances about the person who is in front of me, sir. So that learning I got from my mother, sir.
Okay. Okay. It was
Yes.
nice talking to you, Akash. All the very best.
Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
that is where we conclude the interview, the mock.
Yes.
So, firstly, tell me, where were the areas you felt that, I fared well? And see, automatically you would have seen the bulk of your mock is dominated by the international relations. Okay, and
Yes, sir.
that is likely to be because one, it is your education. Second, you've shown your interest primarily into the relations, that is analyzing, participating in dialogues vis-a-vis specifically geopolitics of Indo-Pacific. Indo-Pacific is a very wider area, includes the Indian Ocean region. The
Yes.
South Pacific is very active nowadays, especially, India also engaging, China also engaging, Australia, AUKUS is also has a stakehold, Quad has a stakehold. Then you have policies of Government of India. One you said Sagar, primarily
Yes.
security and growth for all in the region. Now, one thing that usually what can be a problem is that already your education is international relations primarily. Okay, you are studying in School of International Studies in JNU, but also you've shown hobbies as something engaging in a dialogue. Now,
Yes.
tell me one thing. So usually hobbies is a way to make the interview lighter in nature. But chances are
Yes,
with
sir.
your interview, it might not go into very personal stuff much. So it is
Yes.
likely to be, uh, dominated by issues, international issues. So
Yes, sir.
you have a very good understanding one. That is not a problem. That is not a problem.
Yes.
Um, and firstly, you tell me what did you feel about the questions and how have similar questions, of course, have been must have been asked before as well in the mocks you would have given, right? So,
Yes, sir.
uh, what did you think about the questions and handling of it?
Sir, I think in few questions it was fine, but in others I think I can improve, particularly with the framing of the how am I answering? Maybe a rephrase or using good words could be
Yeah,
there.
there
So
were two, three instances like this. Two, three, because again, you are a student of international relations. In
yes,
international
sir.
relations, and you see in foreign services, the words are very, used in a calibrated manner.
Yes,
Wait,
sir.
but the good thing is that you've not means good and bad, both way we'll talk about, is that you're not opted for foreign service to begin with. But
Yes, sir.
your profile, since it suits foreign services more, but now the
Yes.
profile contradicts that you have opted for IAS and IPS to begin with, but you have international relations dominated. How would international relation help you as an IAS? Tell me.
So, our External Affairs Minister, Honorable, has written in his recent book, Why Bharat Matters,
Mhm.
that so foreign policy influences every citizen of the
Yeah,
country.
absolutely. This is how you justify it. That someone sitting in the remote corner of a
Okay.
village is
Yes, sir.
affected by foreign policy of, let's say, Russia Ukraine war, how it impacted the cost of
Yes.
fertilizer, the cost
Yes.
of oil,
Yes.
like at that time the edible oil, or the even the global wheat prices, of course that is separate, but then normal cost of rising crude prices which affected the transport cost and everything. Okay, so
Mm.
yes, that is there. And very good thing which I asked you one thing, that why have you not opted for IFS? Don't talk about IFS. Talk about why IAS primarily. And why I've
Yes.
opted, because I feel that I always have wanted to serve people on ground. Uh,
Yes.
in I've come from a place which is a small town in Uttar Pradesh, from a village, and I
Yes.
know the challenges I have. And today, why I'm reading, I want to have a global perspective, but at the same time go back and serve the people on ground. And that has been
Yes.
my passion. That is something I really wanted to do. That is why I've opted one and two as IES and IPS, because I feel, you know, uh, they can be highly effective while working on ground and solve the people issues. And I want to have a, direct interaction. Whereas there's no doubt foreign services is one of the best services in the world. Given an
Yes.
opportunity, would love to serve there. But
Yes.
to begin my career, I want to do something directly on ground, and that is I felt IES is the best platform for me. It's
Yes.
this way, but do not start talking about IFS that उसमें क्या problem है या उसमें क्या issues हैं. Let's not go into that territory, what I feel. But just
Yes.
focus on why IAS and IPS I want to do. वो अगर
Yes.
passionately नजर आ जाएगा वो justified हो जाएगा, simple logic.
Okay.
Okay. Um, Introduction में make sure you must mention about parents. Why? Um, कि एक लाइन फैमिली में कौन है, रीजन कि सामने बोर्ड बैठा है वो भी एक एक पेरेंट है. कोई
Yes.
भी अगर उनका बच्चा अपने पेरेंट्स के बारे में कहीं बताता है तो उनको प्राउड फील होगा ना. तो सेम वे से
Yes.
उनका साइकोलॉजी, दिस इज अ वेरी सॉफ्ट वे टू engage and create a very good way to you say that I come from a family, I have a father, mother and siblings बता के, so my father does this briefly, एक line add कर दो, कोई problem नहीं है. But it is a very
Yes.
good way. It also shows that you are rooted in your family values.
Yes.
क्योंकि एक आईएएस को भी जब फील्ड में जाना है या आईपीएस को भी, तो उसको अपने जो भी एरिया ऑफ रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है उसको एक फैमिली के तौर पे सबको
Yes.
इंक्लूड करके चलना है।